Okay, so here you are, ready to write an explanation. That is step number 8. X for explanation, bending the alphabet a little bit, but it's the X of our Texas. So by now you should have a really solid topic sentence that is super clear, an example that proves your topic sentence, and now it's time to explain how that example actually connects to that topic sentence. Here's our question, pause if you need to. Here's our essay, pause if you need to. Here's our paragraph, pause if you need to. And here's our explanation. Interestingly, the entire thing is highlighted because, like duh, you have to spell it out. It's difficult to explain this, without looking back at the entire paragraph. So let's head back. Alright, we've got our topic sentence. Jonas becomes the receiver of memories. We learn he's different. For the first time in his 12 years of life, he felt separate, different. You've got to pause and explain to your reader as though they've never read the book and as though they would probably struggle to understand it if they did read it. You really have to spell things out because people read really quickly and they can't connect all the dots without your help. So even though it's obvious to us that he's been part of this community and for the first time he feels different and it's really, really clear to us, we have to spell it out. It's good to get into this habit because the further along in your writing career you get, doesn't matter whether you're writing about English or science or maths, the more complex your writing will become and the more important your explanations are. So here I've put, Lowry shows how Jonas has always felt like he was part of his community until this turning point. Now, if you look at that phrase, always felt like he was part of the community, how do I know that? Well, I know that because the quote says, for the first time in his 12 years of life. Plus, the entire beginning of the book is all about the community and how sort of peaceful the community is and how everybody gets along, even though underneath it all, we know that it's not actually as cheery as all that. So the entirety of the explanation is super important for explaining how the example proves your topic sentence. A helpful hint is if you're feeling stuck, try to begin with the phrase Lowry shows or this shows. When you get more confident with your writing, you can actually delete the first 3 words of that sentence. So if the sentence just said, Jonas has always felt like he was part of the community until this turning point, it would make just as much sense. And it's actually a little bit more sophisticated because you're not relying on the crutch of using the word shows. Or you could even start to play around with some synonyms and you could say things like Lowry displays, or this piece of writing explains how Jonas has always felt like, or this moment puts forward the idea that Jonas has always felt like, etc., etc. So if you want to make this sentence a little bit more sophisticated, then play around with the opening of the sentence. Write it simply first, write your sentence like Lowry shows how, and then have a look for some synonyms. There's actually some helpful posters at the front of my classroom that give you ideas of different words for words like shows. How can we say that differently? So I think that's a really good challenge for you to set yourselves is if you think your explanation is a bit bland, see if you can zhuzh it up a little bit by using some interesting synonyms that make your writing more specific and more sophisticated. Okay, so now you are ready to have a go at doing some analysis. Now it's your choice here. If you're still feeling like you're really struggling, just head straight to the tutorial after that. Give the analysis a miss. But if you want to hear it, see if you understand it, then have a look. I've tried to make it as straightforward as possible and I've used Harry Potter, which is something that we all know. Doesn't matter if you've actually seen Harry Potter because we get the gist. So it's worth watching if you feel like you could do with a little bit of a challenge at the moment. But before you do that, you need to make sure you write your own explanation, and like always, try and do that without looking back at my explanation. Rewatch the video if you need to, pause at different places, but then try and get that sentence away from your brain and come up with your own independent sentence. See how sophisticated you can make that.